What's up, everyone? This is David Greenspan, and you are listening to Season 2 of the Mindshare Podcast, a proud member of the Industry Syndicate Media Network. Additional podcasts are available at mindshare101.com and on all the major podcast platforms. This week's episode is sponsored by Kits Keep in Touch Systems. This is episode 85. Celebrating 25 years as a licensed realtor in Canada with a track record of award-winning results. She is also a wife, a mother to 3 awesome kids, and an English bulldog lover. She loves what she sees happening in our industry and senses we are in for one of the greatest shifts Canadian real estate will ever experience. Not only a realtor, she is a speaker, a coach, and she is the organizer of the Buzz Conference. She also says she has a big surprise to share with everyone today, and we'll be getting into that in just a little bit. Joining me on the Mindshare Podcast is my friend, Virginia Munden. Virginia, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, David. Wow, what an introduction.
Oh, I
don't know if I'm a speaker but I'll speak today if that's what it classifies me as.
Well, I think with all the knowledge that you bring and the expertise, and I say that very wholeheartedly. I mean, I know, look, I've been in the industry for 15 years now, playing in the marketing space of it all. And I know that we had met many years ago. And I've watched kind of how you and Wayne and you guys just continue to kind of roll through like machines in this real estate industry. And quite frankly, I'm grateful to have you here today. Seriously, thank you for the time. I believe that everybody's going to have a lot to learn from this episode, like every other episode.
Yes.
But, so from the speaker perspective, I guess, Virginia, it's that whole idea of like, the conference and the, speaking to people and just coaching and all the knowledge you got going on up there. I mean, I don't know. I like to title myself as a speaker, but like, really, like, what does that even mean anymore?
Well, interesting. When I was working with Remax, I did speak and train. I traveled to almost 13, 14 countries around the world and spoke on many stages, from Italy to Spain to Malta to Turkey. I went all over. I was in Germany and Vienna, and I met a lot of amazing people in the European real estate markets, a lot of entrepreneurs, and a lot of them that I was able to work with and help bring their businesses to the next level. And I've kept in touch. We have some very great friendships with people across our waters, and it's a people business. So we have to keep in mind that although our industry is so big, it really is very small, especially when we can connect like this on Zoom, right?
You know what? It really is a small world. I mean, as you get out there and you talk to more people, and that small world in the sense where even when you start to see the people that have actually stuck with it, that actually built businesses out of it, careers out of it. And we were just saying before we got on air about how some of the big teams have just continued to motor throughout this whole time. Yet I myself saw a whole different view of that because of the marketing space that I'm in. I saw a lot of people struggling.
Right.
A lot of people didn't know which way was going on. I mean, it's been a crazy ride over the past 4 months. We just literally went through what some could argue, and you could say we're still going through something that we've never seen before, like across the entire world. From a business perspective, we saw a lot of people tighten their belts. We saw a lot of people, reduce marketing budgets, change the way they operate, what they do each day. And unfortunately, many have succumbed to their injuries, right? But I mean, like, having to close the doors, turn off the lights, and just shut down because of what happened. But fortunately, many others have really pulled through, and we're getting back to where we want people to be. And I think the silver lining in all this is that, we've been given more time to do the things we love with the people that we love most. And you and I mean, sidebar on phone calls when we just chatted up, we talk a lot about the kids and sports and family time, right? How important that is to both of us.
Yeah, Wayne and I are very jealous that you're there right now. Because our kids are adults now, like two going through university and one just entering university this year. So we see you in the rink and on your bikes and at the beach, and we're like, oh, we want David's life.
Oh my God. It's funny too, right? Because that's where you've got to look and say, there's the silver lining, right? I mean, think about how much complaining about being too busy, never having enough time. Yeah, I'll get to it. Like,
Right.
this literally reset us in a big way. And I, for one, like I know I took advantage of it. I hope everybody took advantage of it.
Yes, yes.
I really do.
I was receiving a number. I keep in touch with a lot of agents. My line is always open. When you're in this industry, as long as I have, I celebrated 25 years as a licensed real estate agent in January. I
Congrats.
started when I
Amazing.
was 5, right? People
Absolutely.
calling me, Virginia, what do I do? Do I leave the industry? Do I park my license? Do I join a team? Do I leave my big brand and maybe go to an independent brokerage? Give me some advice. What do I do? And I think we have to be very careful to not make decisions during this time, because a lot of them are based on emotion. And this has not been a health crisis or an economic crisis. This was a health crisis that fueled our new economy. And we have to be very careful not to make decisions during this time, right? We need to sit back and, you talked about making a change to the way we operate. We've changed the way we operate in our businesses. And I think one thing that is really crucial that many have to understand is we need to change the way we communicate.
I like
We need to
this.
change the way we communicate with people. And our industry, as we get busier and as we get deeper into our business and become more successful and make more money and grow our team, sometimes we don't have that time to communicate well with others. And that's wrong, because we hide it behind our screen and we think that we're engaging in our social spaces, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or Snapchat or now TikTok. We need to truly communicate with each other and hold conversations that are not only relevant but that are also enthusiastic about what we stand for in our business. And many of us are branching off into different industries. Like we mentioned earlier, a lot of realtors are looking at trying a side hustle to compensate for what they feel they're losing on compensation or income. And those kind of things are exciting, but it's wrong. We're real estate agents. We are professionals in our industry, and there is only one goal that we need to be working on and taking to the next level, and that's the role of service. And if we're not serving people to our highest capacity, to our highest ability, then we are not real estate professionals. We're just people who have a sales designation attached to our name, and we can't wait for transactions and clients to come to us. We need to be constantly looking for the opportunity because it's there in front of us every day. And if we're on Facebook or if we're on Instagram, we're not going to get those same opportunities if we were more engaged in our community, right?
It's interesting. So I had our friend James Lewis on with us a few weeks ago, and he had
Yes,
made comment as well. And I mean, he's awesome, awesome people, but not but awesome people and awesome with his social media's Instagram. And he's very
yes,
clear on the fact that, he goes, look, I post on Instagram. I've got my, this is the way I go and I go about it. And I encourage everybody, if you didn't catch that episode, go back and listen to it. He was awesome. But, you take it further and you say, okay, he was saying, look, it's not like I just post on Instagram and all of a sudden I get a deal. He goes, it
right.
doesn't work like that. He says,
Same works.
if you
Yeah,
don't take that relationship and build it out to make it a real relationship,
right.
then it doesn't really matter about all this communication on the social medias or the
Yeah.
passive stuff that we're doing in the background. Now, I want to come back to that for a
And
second.
if I hold on, if I can just
Yeah.
make a note, he uses social media really well
Yep.
because he also spends time in his communities that he serves, whether he's in Yorkville or Kensington Market or St. Lawrence Market. I mean, he makes the time to be knowledgeable about his niche markets, and he goes and he spends time there with the people. And I think that's really crucial. And he does it very, very well.
Oh, listen, I'll tell you, even when we were talking, not only was he talking about his markets, he was talking about the markets that I'm living in, and he knew that stuff, right? So it's
Okay,
like, but
good.
this comes back to what you said too about the servicing, right? Because my belief in this thing is that the goal really comes back to, and you're saying servicing, and I'm going to say relationships, and I really believe they're synonymous
Right.
with each other,
Mhm.
right? If we're out there trying to help people, service people, do the best we possibly can. We're really just trying to build relationship. And through
Right,
the relationship, this is where we gather that momentum for our business, right?
right.
So when it comes to communication, I want to circle back to that in a moment because I want to dive into that a little bit more. But when we talk about these past 4 months and we talk about what we saw from people and what we just mentioned there, and again, what we've seen from other people, I'm curious, what plans for you and your group there, Virginia? Because again, you are busy. Like I see it. I know you are busy out there all the time. What did you guys do? Did you guys do any adjustment? I refrain from using this word pivot. I'm pivoted
Yeah,
out just like we're all zoomed out. But
yeah.
um, what did you guys do?
And that's the thing, in changing and challenging times, we look for, there were so many words that were popping up: pivot, momentum, shifting, trajectory, new path. Really, and I found myself using them more and more and more. But when you summarize it all, what's the one thing that people were really looking for? My doctor never called me to see how I was. My dentist never called me to see how I was. My friends never called to see how I was, because a lot of that stuff you can find online. You can find on your
Yeah.
Facebook page or on your Instagram page. But I found the one thing that really made the biggest difference is just picking up the phone. We lost that touch. A lot of people lost the power of communicating. So by picking up the phone and connecting with people just to see, hey, how's it going? Anything you need? That, like, truthfully, David, that resulted in our first 3 transactions since June the 2nd.
You see that?
Just
See that
from
it
just
works?
from just from picking up the phone. And interesting enough, the conversations even went deeper, because there was a lot of people who were struggling with, um, I've lost my job. Am
Yep.
I going to lose my house? Should I have my home reappraised? Do I call my bank? Do I call my credit cards? There were people that were struggling, more than what we know and more than what they were willing to share. So our role is, like I said, we're not therapists, we're not financial advisors, we're not lawyers. So it's basically bringing them down to a very calm space and just telling them that things are going to be all right, and that they need also to start making those calls. Call your utility companies, call your lawyer, call your banker, call your mortgage broker, and just make sure you're all right. And look for options and choice that is going to help you in the next 90 days. At that time, we thought it was going to be 90 days. Wayne always said it was going to be August 1st.
Okay.
So
So next time you want to play the lottery or something, call Wayne.
yeah, Wayne always said it was August 1st. And I think, judging by where we are today, I think it's going to be August 1st. We're still, our buzz conferences, for example, the limit of attendees is 100. So to do
Yeah.
a live conference might not work this year in 2020. We might be looking into 2021. So we're still waiting for direction from the provincial and the federal government. But getting back to what we did different is, we really didn't do anything different. We just
Okay.
did more. Okay, we doubled up on the conversations and the communications. And I think that is crucial, is just to listen and pay attention. You can't be giving financial advice, mortgage advice. We're realtors, so either we're going to list a house or we're going to look for opportunities to buy a house. Now, during the first 4 weeks of COVID, we had a couple of sales, and both of those sales, they sold, and we moved them to smaller centers because they didn't want to be caught in a time where things could shift drastically. So, one moved to Wasaga Beach, another one moved to Port Dover. So, these are ways that, I mean, communication strategies is just giving options and solutions that relate to your business and nothing else.
That's where business comes from, right? It's communication. So I've got that ebook that I'm going to encourage everybody listening, watching, whether you're watching us live or you're listening to this recording, go to my site, mindshare101.com, and download the 7 Ways to Communicate ebook. It's free. It's right there on the homepage. There's only 7 ways to communicate, and I leave radio and television out of it. And when you look at those 7 ways, in my mind, again, when we talk about building mindshare and we're talking about communication, as long as you're using all 7 of those ways every single day in some form, making
Right.
sure to deliver value across those channels, if you're talking to the right audience, now you're creating, again, those opportunities.
Right.
And so in this business, it's one thing to wake up every single day and say, "Oh my God, there's an opportunity in front of me," or "I've got to go find another deal." And we all want to get a new deal every single day. That being said, if we wake up with a goal of helping and communicating and building relationships,
Sit
all of a
right there.
sudden somebody wants to move to Wasaga and somebody wants to move to Dover and whatever else.
Right.
But that
Right.
happens because you're a conduit of information, and it comes back to communication.
And also, David, it's you have to also understand, you got to take it to that next level, is who are you communicating with? All
Right.
right. Our industry has become so global right now and diverse. And we are working with all different kinds of people now, from different countries, different genders, different age brackets. Wayne and I, again, 25 years, our clients are much older right now and they have older parents. So we're starting to see a lot of different things. We just listed an estate sale this week with one of our clients whose mother passed away. A lot of difficult discussions to be involved in right now. So there was a book that I was introduced to about 10 years ago, and Richard Silver spoke about this book again at one of our buzz conferences, and it's called Kiss, Bow, and Shake Hands. And it takes you through the journey of how to communicate with different people from diverse backgrounds and different respect levels. I just think we need to be very cautious of how we communicate with different people, whether they're men, women, older, younger, different demographics, whether they, from Asia or Europe or America, Canada. We have to learn how to communicate with everyone. Because some people take our conversations differently. So we also have to be very careful what we say, right? You
So
look on.
give me an example of that. Like when we talk about communicating better, for example, you brought up, calling the utilities or calling those, and I'll bring an example up just to sort of go there is, I was saying to everybody during this whole thing, call the shop owners, the local shop owner where you buy your milk, you buy your eggs, the one that you aren't seeing right now, the one that's a small business that's probably struggling, that could really use a ray of sunshine. Call them and just say
You know
hello.
what a lot of people were doing? They were going on Amazon. And listen, in Oakville, just within a hop, skip, and a jump, there's 4 businesses that have closed here over the last 120 days.
Right.
And those were businesses that were open for curbside pickup or online orders, but they felt that a lot of the general population in the area were doing Amazon orders. And you can see when you're driving around the neighborhood the Amazon boxes that are at
Yep.
their front doors. So they're calling or making their orders online, right, through Amazon.
It's sad, and that's why for me it was important. Again, call the shop owners and say
You're
hello.
right.
Go in and spend your money there. Help people
Yeah.
there, because again, look, this comes back to the communication. It comes back to reciprocity. If I'm
Right.
going to go out, I'm going to help the shop owner. And I'm going to go to my local butcher, my local dry cleaner, et cetera, and I'm going to find stuff that's local that I don't need to go onto Amazon to buy. And as great as Amazon is, right? It's We've gone through a real tough time here. If you can go out and support those folks, they're going to stay there. They're going to have a business that's going to survive, and that's going to give everybody more opportunities.
But I think a lot of people buckled down, as you said, and I think they reanalyzed where they were going to spend their money and how they were going to spend their money, because the fear from the media was put upon us.
Yeah.
And what was happening with, I call it toilet paper syndrome.
Oh my God.
I think it shocked and it put a lot of people back, and a lot of people thought we were entering in times that were non-surviving, and people panicked. So a lot of people stopped spending. A lot of people were laid off. The government, introduces CURB and EI for the entire population. And again, that puts fear into people. So, now I think a little bit of that is lifted as we transition back to transacting. But there's a lot of people who are still holding their money dear and have really become very frugal over this time. I think there was maybe a lot of unnecessary spending over the last, specifically since 2017, when the market
When the
really
market
went
was hot.
crazy. And you still see crazy people. I was down in Yorkville. I was meeting with Barry Lebo and Vivian Sharon on the weekend. We went for something to eat at Oxley's, and we were talking about all of these things, and people have to realize they have to make decisions based on their own current situation, not based on what everybody else is doing online. There's a lot of unnecessary spending going on, and people now realize that by working remotely and practicing social distancing and self-isolation, we can actually become better at what we do because we're holding these great conversations with people, right?
Well, speaking of and the buying and everything else, let me just for the fun of it poke some fear into people that have young kids, and this is all in good fun, folks. That toilet paper pandemic, I'm predicting a desk, like a school desk pandemic for people's
Yeah.
rooms. I know Jen went online; she went to go buy some desks for the kids already, and I'm like, honey, it's way too early. They've got we don't know if they're going back, if they're not going back. It's
I feel really
summertime.
bad for
She goes,
people.
I'm telling you now, the desks will not be around when it comes September. So we've already actually bought the desks and installed them in the rooms and just getting prepared for who knows, right?
I feel like I'm very jealous that your kids are home with you and you're enjoying them, but I'm very sad for where their education system is going. They're not prepared.
Let me tell you this, and and most people that I'm connected with know, but I'm at a rink or at a diamond 5, 6 days a week, easily on top of my own hockey. And this has been a major, major shift in my mindset, both mentally, physically, my son's mindset. We were involved. I mean, not only am I coaching realtors, like I'm coaching hockey, I'm coaching baseball. I am there. So I'm very, very involved. And now when you think about it with the hockey team, we got 14 other boys, with parents and siblings. In the baseball team, we got 11 other boys, and I'm talking like outside of Joshua, right? 11 other boys with again siblings and parents, and these are my people. These are people that we're with all the time. My son gets there, and not only is he excited to play ball or play hockey, but he's excited to just run like an animal around the rink or the diamond with these boys and go play on the playground and whatever. And all of a sudden, bang,
I don't think we're going to
cold
see.
turkey. It
Yeah,
stopped.
yeah. I don't think we're going to see it this year. I don't think it's going to return.
No, but I'll tell you this: we've started as a baseball team and a hockey team, started to do some just fun get-togethers
Yeah.
where it's because again, Baseball Ontario has been very clear, like you can now have certain numbers at the field, and here's what you got to do, so everything's properly in line.
So look
Uh,
at that. You're
but
going back to fun.
and the best part is again watching. This is where I was going with it all, was just
Yeah.
watching the kids run. Like never mind even doing the baseball, just watching them run with each other and smile and have fun. So I feel for them big time. Overall, I mean, fortunately, I know my kids have done very well, so I'm pumped about that. But I want to ask you this, and I want to sort of shift on this one, and I want to go back 25 years ago, and I'm curious, where did you get your first deal in real estate? Like, what did you do to get that?
My first deal first of all, in my first year, I only did 3 rentals. So there is opportunity. There is hope, right?
Okay, cool.
And so my second year, I decided I paid very close attention to one of the most well-respected women in real estate, and that was Loretta Finney. And
Okay.
Loretta and Ron were very gracious husband and wife team at Royal LePage. They've been #1 at Royal LePage for many years. And, they gave me opportunity to do open houses and, to work with buyers and sellers. And it was really interesting because you almost feel like they're grander than ever. They're amazing people. They're #1. It's like, why are they giving me, this little agent that just started, an opportunity? And I think that's why I love helping realtors so much, because I don't want them to ever feel the way I did. I want them to know that we are here to help and we are here to listen. So my first opportunity was when, Loretta said, just, find yourself a townhouse development and concentrate on that townhouse development for the next 90 days. And we did that. For about a good year, we concentrated on a townhouse development in Mississauga in Port Credit. And within our first year, I think we had something like 12 transactions out of there. But it was just by focusing, walking the development, meeting the neighbors, delivering flyers. And at that time, it was all handmade flyers, right? Photocopied on the photocopy machine. And hosting an event or two for the kids in in that particular complex. And then every year we grew more and more from that complex. And I thought, well, I don't want to be known as just the townhouse real estate agent. I want to branch out and look for other opportunities. So we took that small test pocket and then we branched out into different neighborhoods that we wanted to market. So that's what you call niche marketing or geographical farming. Right, is becoming that specialist not in a community of 10,000 people, because there was only 400 townhouses in that development. But that townhouse development was bringing us 250,000 to 350,000 in a year.
And you said you were walking it.
Walking it every day.
Okay, I just want to make something very clear for everybody tuning in right now. Everybody, it's very important, because I know if I ask 10 realtors, do you like to door knock? 10 out of 10 say no. I know if I ask 10 realtors if they door knock, 9 out of 10 say no. And I know that the one always tells me they see business from it, the one who does it.
Right.
And here we are, everybody. And I will continue to say that. And you've seen me say that on stages and in podcasts and everything else I talk about. I talk about how effective door knocking is. And yes, we've got some limitations on that right now. Granted. Yes, maybe some people are not comfortable with it right now. Yes, most people don't like it. But guys, we are talking to a top producing real estate agent who's been in the business 25 years, and that's how she started.
But it wasn't even necessarily door knocking. It was just being present, right?
But it was a piece of, it was the support channel, right? It's like, if we go out there and run a Facebook ad, but we do nothing on our Facebook organically, what's the ad going to do? If we throw a flyer at the neighborhood, but we don't door knock the door, what's the flyer going to do? If we just door knock and don't do the flyer, you know what I mean? Like, it's all the support mechanism of being there and building relationships.
Right. It is about being present. It is about being present. But, over the years, things have changed, David. You've got social media.
Sure.
You can go door knocking from page to page to page and saying hi to people and reaching people. I just don't know if it has that kind of effect. I think when social media first started, and we had a really great year one year where we did almost $1 million in GICs, Wayne and I, 366,000 of that came from Facebook.
And was that running ads, or was that just working?
No, that was just networking with people. But a lot of people say it came from Facebook alone. Well, no, you make the connection on Facebook, but then you have to go elsewhere to engage, network, and create those pivotal relationships that are going to take your business to the next level. And I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up. They think, well, I'm going to get a lead on Facebook. But unless you know that person and spend time with that person, and that's why we started doing these events 10 years ago and, going to conferences and meetups and, you have to take it to the next level. You're not going to get a lead on Facebook just for being friends with somebody. It's just not going to happen.
So I'm curious then, when you talk about the old school ways, we talk about pagers and we talk about door knocking and being present in the community. I for one believe that old school way of doing business is still very, very effective in today's world. And if you can now mix that old school with the new school, put those together.
I wouldn't do it. If I had to go back, I really wish I didn't have a Facebook page.
Yeah. Forget the new school.
I think we're spending way too much time there. If you look at the top 100 agents, David, they have companies running their social. Yeah, they have social media companies running their social media. They don't have time for this. They are in their community, and
schmoozing.
They are. Yeah, they're.
Remember the black and white MLS tear sheet? Like, remember when you had to race to the office to be like the first one there? Yeah. But that's it. It's kind of still the same thing right now. So I'm curious. So, okay, what are you doing now in terms of generating that biz? Like, how are you out there building mindshare every day? Well, are you purely referrals at this point? It's like, guys, I don't get up and do anything right now. I've crushed it.
And again, is a really good question. And we're we've taken our business to a different level now because we're older.
Yep.
We don't have the big team anymore because it's a decision that we made, especially while the kids were in university. And we made lifestyle changes. So going after business and creating opportunities have to come from what you believe to be work that will work for you. So we concentrate on our database. We concentrate on a very small network of people. It doesn't have to be 10,000 people in the database. We brought our database right down to 250 people. Yeah. And, if the referrals come, which they do, I have 2 referrals right now that I'm working with through the Buzz conference that I just met. But again, I've taken the time to call these agents and to speak with them and have conversations with them so that they know me a little bit more before they refer somebody to me. But we're not doing anything differently. I think we have to concentrate on our people skills. I think the biggest shift we're going to see right now is real estate agents that are going to take the time to pick up the phone again are the ones who are going to survive our industry. David, we have almost 150,000 realtors in Canada, 60,000 in Treb, 2,000 in Oakville, where I primarily work with Wayne. And if we don't make those relationships, if we don't turn them into gold, someone else is going to scoop them up. Nobody's going to call you just because you're connected.
My cheeks are starting to hurt because of my smile. I'm loving it though, because this is hardcore truth, people. This is real deal right here, right? Amazing how when we look at all of this, at everything we have available to us, when we look at the biggest shift we're still coming back to, picking up the phone, and you might go, oh my God, that's it. That's it. Like I had,
hold on, another thing I want to say
yeah.
is a lot of people looked really busy over COVID. There's some agents that were posting that looked very busy, and I'm a watcher. I'm a listener. I also have a lot of connections, and you can get the truth of what kind of business people are actually doing. And you have to, you have to decide who your network is. Who's your crowd? Who are your people? And that's how you're going to learn to be the best version of yourself, is by the company that you keep. We can't continue to post online, certain elements of our life and our lifestyle if we want to succeed as business professionals. They don't go hand in hand with each other. I see a lot of discrepancies on Facebook, and I see a lot of stories that are being shared, and people policing real estate agents and turning their lives upside down, and misinterpreting conversations that are taking place on whether it's Facebook or Instagram. We have to be really careful what we post, trust me, because I'm only a member of a couple of Facebook groups. Yours is one of them. I love Real Estate 2.0. I love Mindshare 101. I love the Royal LePage groups, because all they do is post ideas and about business. But there's some groups, and I get the snapshots and the screen shares, shots of certain conversations. And I'm like, I don't need this, because when you share it to me, I become a willing participant. So I tell them, don't send me this garbage. It has nothing to do with my career and my lifestyle. And if you don't like it, I can't give you feedback. You need to leave that page, because it's not good for business. It's not. I don't care how many people are part of that Facebook, whether 10,000, oh, but there's 20,000 people. Oh, but there's 30,000 people. Doesn't make it a great page. I can get better information having a one-on-one conversation with somebody. More value in a relationship of one than in a group of 30,000, right?
I'm absolutely loving it. And speaking of groups, for everybody who is part of the Mindshare 101 group, everybody who's a Mindshare master, remember our VIP room is open, and about when we get off air at the 2 p.m. mark, off live air, we are going to open up the room, and you will have the opportunity, just our Mindshare masters, to have a private Q&A with Virginia. So again, the link is in the group. It's in your email. Find that, join the Zoom meeting right now, get on that side of things. If you're watching from Facebook Live, join us over there. But when we come to that there, Virginia, looking at all the access to technology, looking at, we've talked about what's changed over the past 25 years. I mean, obviously people aren't running around with pagers. We're not running around with quarters in our pockets, but we have agreed that this is very much a people business. It's very much about building relationships. And again, all this noise that's out there, like for me, when it comes to the groups, I'm looking at all these real estate groups and I'm thinking, okay, you got a wonderful opportunity to leverage a few referral opportunities.
Sure.
But you're only going to do that if you build relationships with people.
Right. And there is one really good referral network group that's out there, and that's Paul Hannon's and the Hannon homegirls. because he keeps it to referrals. And anytime somebody posts garbage, Paul deletes it. He keeps
Yep.
it, focused on the common goal, and that's referrals and relationships, and that's it.
Well, they're a wicked crew with Talene and Jess as well. They're
Yeah,
wicked
I love
people,
those girls.
you
They're
know.
amazing.
But when you look at that, there is so much noise and pollution, and that's the type of stuff that can start affecting people's minds, start affecting what they're thinking, start affecting what they're doing. And like you said, where you've got some people going, "Look at me, look at me, look at me," but then in the background, there's nothing really to look at over there.
There
But the
isn't.
perception
Yeah,
now causes others to start to question what they're doing.
right.
So I'm curious.
And this is where we trip up, David,
Yeah,
is we think everybody's doing, these great things. And, I had a great conversation, as I was saying, with Barry Lebo
yep, and Vivienne.
and Sharon. They were talking about all the different platforms we bought into over the years, and all the money we've spent on
Yeah,
SEO and
yeah,
marketing and things like that. And, they had very, very good things to say about, one or two people that they've been working with, because they've tested it and they've tried it. And this has to do with their Facebook ads. So I'm going to give a shout out to Andrew Foliato, because
perfect.
he did a really good, he does a really good job for them, and they believe in his platform. But I think we get tripped up watching people do different things, so we want to do it too. But it's not necessarily good for our business. We need to look at one thing. Who is our customer? Number one, who is our target customer, our target audience, our community to serve? And we need to look at ways to market to them. What is the message and what is the medium? Because we can't just get into the business or start over again after COVID and say, okay, I need to create a flyer and send out 20,000 flyers today, or I need to create an ad on Canva and post it on Facebook. You need to know who your audience is. And your clients are not online. I'm sorry. They're not on your Facebook page. Your customers are living in neighborhoods.
Yeah. So I talk about, we got two audiences. We got the people we know, and we got the people we don't know. Your
Right.
business will come from the people you know. Again, you are proof in the pudding when you say that you had a database of whatever it was, 10,000 people. Now you've whittled it down to like 250. I've said for years, you should be somewhere between that 200 and 700. And when you're in that spot,
Right.
guaranteed you're making money, as long as you are working that database properly.
Right.
It's not an overly complicated business. And I will say to what Barry and Vivienne and you guys talked about at lunchtime that day around, all this stuff that we've spent money on and tried this and tried that. Look, I thank all of that stuff, because that's why Mindshare 101 was born.
Yeah,
Just
I
so that
know.
I could sit there and kick back at it all and go, wait a second. Like Virginia like you just said, they're right out there. They live right out there. Go see them, talk to them.
Right. And I know your platform goes back to the basics, right? It's the basics.
Look,
And
I'm very much about video. I've got my podcast. I'm all over social, but it's for me, the most important part of that is that connection with people. And
right.
that's my way I'm leveraging these channels, the new school tech.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you, I've already banged out some 30 calls this morning. Okay.
Right.
I've already done that today. And it's not bang them out and, check them off. It's call people, actually say hello. And some people you're going to talk to for 25 minutes by accident. Some people it's going to be a voice message. Some people it'll be a 5-minute phone call. Who knows?
Yeah. You know what irks me is when you call someone through their office, you page them to call you back, and they text you, hey, it's me, what do you want? Well, I didn't want you to text me. I wanted you to call me back.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And because of that, I'm not going to give you this referral, so let me call somebody else.
Well, this goes back to my post I put a few months ago when I asked what's the most annoying thing about other realtors in a real estate group. And, we had like over 400 comments come back. And for the most part, it was lack of respect. And then it was lack of answering calls.
Right.
It is a big problem. But so where are we headed then? Where are we going in terms of kind of like the look ahead now?
The trends of the future.
Yeah. What are we thinking? Like,
I see big things happening with big real estate teams. I think they're going to become bigger and better. I see way too many teams, go from their traditional 3 or 4 realtors to these mega teams right now. I see many of them now opening up their own brokerages, whether with a brand. I know Goran from Windsor just opened up his
Yeah.
own Remax office. I'm so proud of him. Congratulations, Goran. But I
Yeah, he's good
also
people.
see a huge influx, which I have not seen before as I do today, is independent boutique brokerages where people are just setting up shop. They're becoming their own brand, and it's Virginia Munden real estate office, and I think people are succeeding. I look at PSR, I look at Red and White Realty or Revel
Revel, our boys,
Realty.
Revel Realty.
Perry. Yeah, I see all these people doing these amazing things, and Andrew Perry just opened up his first virtual office during COVID. That's innovation. That's adaptation. That's really powerful work if you can take the risk and do something on your own. But we got to face the facts. We're seeing a lot more of that happening right now. So how do bigger brands keep their people happy? Well, it is going to be by offering them, their own offices. Otherwise, I know of a few more that are going to be, jumping ship and opening up their own offices within the next 1 to 2
I got to
years.
tell you, it's funny you brought up the boutique brokers because it's exactly where I wanted to go with this, was to ask you and just
Huge
say we are
trend,
seeing so many of them, popping up, growing in
right?
size and success, popularity. We're seeing online models come out that are, more like the Ubers of our time. We're seeing
Right.
agents that are going in. I mean, here, COVID, and I put this question out a couple of weeks ago: how often are you going in the office? And most people are
Yes.
coming back going, I'm not. Some people came back and said, I can't wait to get there. I need to see people. I'm an extrovert. But
Yeah.
we are seeing agents go into the office less and less these days. So, yeah, where do you see the big
You're
brands
hundred
standing?
percent right. Yeah, hundred
Like,
percent right.
where do the big brands stand? Okay, do we see the big brand surviving all this, or are
Oh,
they starting to phase out?
of course. You're always going to have loyal people, loyal realtors and business professionals that are loyal to their brands. You're gonna see a lot more of that. But I think you're going to start seeing a lot of the single agents, team up and join teams. I can't see them surviving on their own on this. You have big teams like, Matthew Regan,
Yep.
who is doing a phenomenal job at Royal LePage, or Jeff Ham at Keller Williams, Amy Youngren at North Group.
Yep.
These are teams that are constantly growing because they represent something. Realtors don't just want to join a team just for the sake of being a part of a bigger group. They want to join a team that stands for something, in real estate, that stands for something in community, corporate responsibility, sustainable practices, innovation. These are big words that we need to adapt and use in our careers, because there's changes coming and we need to survive. And if we can't survive on our own, we need to go where culture and momentum, enthusiasm, wit, humor, these are all things that are starting to creep up on us right now. If it's not a fun place to work, goodbye.
Yeah.
People want to know where it's going to be fun. They're going to be respected for who they are. They want to know what you represent on it could be anything. This whole human rights movement has brought so much into real estate right now that a lot of bigger brands and independent boutique brokerages are taking a stand on creating more sustainable practices and measures for their agents. And this younger generation, David, they want to work somewhere where they matter. They want
Yeah.
to work somewhere where they're going to be appreciated for their voice, because this younger millennial generation, they are about sharing and contribution and collaboration. And if they're not going to get that with a bigger brokerage, they're going to go with smaller independent boutique brokerages, because the Adam Stearns and the Years and the Amy Younggrens, they're the ones that are making differences out there. And, Andrew Perry, I mean, have you
Well,
seen Andrew
Andrew
Perry?
over at Revel with Rye, and then Chris, who opened up the Revel
Right?
office in Brand. I mean, these guys have a basketball court in one of their offices. They set up a shooting area for hockey in the other. I mean, this is like
Amazing.
we're looking at the Googles and the Facebooks of our world, but taking that kind of that frame of mind for that millennial so-called generation, which is now expanded beyond the millennials. It's a thought process for people of fun.
Right. Yeah.
They've started to integrate that stuff into their offices.
I
And
think it's
it's one
great.
example of, right?
And I know Melanie Braille or Melanie Pichet and her husband at Braille Real Estate or Bespoke Realty. I know they have all those things too. Like they created such an amazing culture. And, she is a realtor and a professional who wants our industry to be so great. And on her page, we don't tolerate crap
Yep.
and but we also have to be very careful because there's people's livelihoods that are at stake here, and some realtors make very bad decisions based on the information they get from people. And this is why I'm saying, if we're not sure of something, we need to ask our broker, or we need to call the Real Estate Council of Canada, or we need to call AREA or CREA and ask the question.
You mean all those random people answering in the Facebook group? They're not exactly right.
A lot of them don't even sell anything. So, but they're there to give their answers, right? They're there to give their answers.
So when we're looking at the fun, we're looking at fun environment. We're looking at the technology that's there. We're looking at big brands are going to survive because there's always going to be that rally of the troops that are
Oh,
the long time to tattoo
absolutely.
the name on their
Yeah.
ass.
Remax, Royal LePage, Keller Williams,
They're not
Southern.
going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere.
So like
They
these online virtual worlds are not going to go up and change what's going on with the bricks and mortar necessarily. Then they're not gonna sink these guys.
I don't believe so. I know my husband Wayne, he loves going into the office. He's old school. He
Yeah,
doesn't even like doing DocuSign. He likes meeting his
for
clients.
sure.
And you're going to get agents like that. Him and Barry had that conversation over the weekend. They love meeting their peoples. And
But if we gotten away from that, Virginia, meeting people, I mean,
oh
I
yeah,
would say that it's very simple that we have, yes. I had a guy the other day bring this up, and I know I put this out somewhere on my social feeds, but I was talking on one of my phone calls, and we were talking about the old school way of doing things. And then he told me about this one offer he was working on. And he says, I had my buyer in the car. I went there and I went to submit the offer, and the agent says, I already got another one. He says, well, I don't know that you got another one, but I'm going to take your word for it. He says, but I'd like to come and present the offer to your seller. And the selling agent said, there's no way you're presenting the offer. He says, well, why wouldn't you let me present it? And the seller's agent goes, no, that's my job. He says, no, listen, you
yeah.
know that I'm
Gotta
coming
wait
in.
for
I'm
it.
offering less than what they're asking. So right away, they're not going to be happy with what you bring them. He goes, why don't you let me be the bad guy? And the agent kind of looked at him. He says, plus, if you're going to sign back the other one, you're going to probably send it by email. They're like, yeah. He says, like electronic documents. I said, yeah. He says, then you're going to have to wait for it. They go, yeah. He says, my buyer's in the car. We can get this thing done
You
now.
remember those days when the buyers?
Wow. It was like
I love
genius,
those days.
right?
Listen, if we're going to demand 5%, right? I mean, when I started, commissions were 6%. I know we can't talk about commissions, but if
Yep.
we're going to get 2.5 and 2.5 on each end, and we're going to do a DocuSign, we better make sure we bring greater value to the experience, right? To the consumer experience. And that's one thing that that gets Wayne all the time is another DocuSign. They won't let me present. I don't feel right even getting my 2.5, right?
See?
We need to work harder. And if we're going to do it online and virtual, we have to be, there's four things: innovation, adaptation, technology, and sustainable practices, sustainable measures. What do we represent on a corporate responsibility level? How important is our voice in community? What do we stand for? If we don't have any of those things that are basically moving right now after COVID-19, we're going to have a terrible fall. And I'm not talking about a fall like
Nope.
fall. I'm talking about a terrible August, September, October, because
I agree with
we
you.
just had 100 days off, basically, of not selling. Some people sold. I think that's great. But now is we're heading for times where there's going to be no closings for the next 3 months.
Yeah, and we're also going into times, as I was joking around about the school desks, which could
Right.
be very real, but we're also heading into a time where we don't know what's going on with the kids in school. I was talking to somebody today who actually does a lot of rental properties and like owns them in university town. And he said, we don't know if these kids are coming back now.
Yeah.
I went, oh my God, I didn't even think about like the you guys, the ones that own the rental properties in university towns.
Right.
Again, we're going to start to see shifts on the economy from people who are maybe not going back to their full-time job in September like they might have expected because of the fact that kids aren't going back to school potentially.
Right.
We're seeing, mortgages and the deferrals and all that stuff starting to be called, okay, it's time to pay, right? We're seeing unemployment rates continuing to climb. We certainly are in for something in the next few months. It is going to come down to us as an industry of how we carry ourselves, how we convey the message, and what we do to service people.
How we convey the message, how we convey the message. You're so bang on that. And, Richard Silver commented with his opinion, and, some people were a little, oh boy, he's so negative. No, he's very truthful. I mean, Richard is celebrating almost 50 years in the business. He knows what we're up against in the future months for sure. But I hear what you're saying. I don't know. We don't know. I keep saying the market's going to now, it's going to bottom out, but then it rises again, and then we go back down, and then we go back up. We're on a roller coaster, really, if you take a look at it.
So let's look ahead here as well. And I know years ago you were organizing a lot of the bar camps, and now it's like full force with the Buzz Conference, which seems to be kicking butt out there, and I'm so pumped for you. Quickly, like, why the Buzz, and what's your goal with it?
Well, when we hadn't done them, I took a sabbatical for 5 or 6 years, and one of the gentlemen, Alex from London, Ontario, said, maybe we should, let's do one more. And I wasn't convinced. And every time a memory showed up, people would message me, let's have another bar camp. They are a lot of work to put together.
For sure.
And we decided we were going to do one in January, which we did, and we had over almost 700 attendees, which was fantastic.
Wow.
And that was a good opportunity to look at what the realtor of the future is looking at, because the average age group of that conference was under 30. Right. So that showed me where our industry was heading, and it is heading into a younger generation. And what this younger generation realtor is doing is unbelievable. I just love what this younger realtor, I mean, from, James Lewis to the Homegirls to Matt Campoli, Josh, Shizvin, Josh Bennett, Dorian Rodriguez, so many amazing young realtors that are making a dent in our market by creating these Uber brands and specific brands. They know what they want. They create the momentum, and they go and they get it. But for the Buzz Conference, I thought we need a venue or a space where we can share what this new generation realtor is doing. We cannot discount them anymore. Our real estate boards are getting older. And I'm sorry to say this, but I find them very cliquey. They're very specific on who they work with and who they have come speak and what they do. I think for real estate boards, we tried to get 38 Ontario real estate boards to share the Buzz Conference, and not one of them except for Treb shared it. And then John DeMichel spoke, and then we had the support from Tim Hudak from Maria. So it was great to have their support. But the other real estate boards during COVID, when we had our free online conferences, had the opportunity to become relevant. And they did not.
They didn't jump at it.
They didn't jump at it. And then you start hearing from realtors from their areas, from their board, saying, how come we didn't know about this? Why didn't our board share this? Why didn't you call our board? Well, I would send them the emails that I sent out to all the real estate boards, because I have them in our database. And, they don't even get back to you. So here we are as a team trying to create momentum during a very difficult time. Mm-hmm. And nobody jumps at the opportunity. Now, we had 5,649 attendees in June.
Wow.
which is quite powerful.
Yep.
But we also
Pretty
had
solid.
another 5,749 that, were angry that they didn't know about it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So our role is to create a new mindset and a mind share, as you would say, on
I
the new,
like it. I like it.
yeah, on the new messages. I mean, you spoke at one and you
Yep.
were so relevant to the consumer of the future. And the consumer of the future, I mean, are the real estate agent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because that's the consumer to the real estate boards. And the real estate boards failed their consumer by not giving them an industry based and a realtor created event that could have helped them throughout COVID-19. And this is how real estate boards will become irrelevant if they don't start changing or shifting their mindset to have better mind share of what today's real estate agent deserves. And that's going to be one of the biggest shifts and one of the biggest changes we're going to see in our real estate boards in the future, is that this real estate agent of the future, David, is not going to tolerate this. And I am only, one person with a group of agents, volunteers that are helping me along the way. And they have been amazing, but they're like, Virginia, people are calling. Where do they register? They're not sure. They're looking at their board. They're looking on Facebook. We can only do so much, right?
You know what? It's always a moving target. I get it completely. Putting on events and whatnot. I would say from afar, you guys are doing a phenomenal job, and I'm excited to see what's in store for you guys over this next 365 days. And I know the landscape for speaking and in-person presentations has changed drastically.
Yeah.
Which throws a wrench in everybody's plans. But again, it's about the adaptation. It's about the shift. It's about looking at what we can do to innovate and what we can do to sustain our businesses. So I love the four things you said with innovation, adaptation, technology, and sustainability. I really believe they go hand in hand with each other.
Those are my four, for business practices, those are my big four. When it comes to our mindset, I think empathy is a really big word.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I learned at the Collision Conference this past June with over 30,000 attendees. The Buzz Conference was a part of that. Love. If we don't love our lives, if we don't love ourselves, if we don't love what we do, it can't be about the paycheck anymore. You have to get out and leave the room and the space for those that truly love what they do, right?
Absolutely.
I think we need to have a sense of humor. And one guy who's doing it so well is Matt Campoli, and he's been working with OTBX to create these fun,
good guys over there at OTBX.
Amazing videos for Matt, and he makes me laugh, he makes me smile, he makes me know that our industry is going to be in good hands in our future years. Inspiration, who inspires us? David Greenspan certainly inspires us. And how do we take that to the next level? How to create more mind share for your show? And I would love to see how we can collaborate and create some kind of partnership for the next live Buzz conference, which we thought was going to take place September 9th and 10th. But so far the attendees can only be capped at 100.
You're talking in person?
In person. And
okay.
Then I'm in communication with the Living Arts Center because we had booked 1,300.
Right.
And they told me now it might be cut in half, but we're not sure, which means every second seat will be an empty seat, right?
Got it.
And so if that's not the case, then we're just going to host another online conference. And then back to January, we'll host the bigger 2-day conference, because we do have a Canadian speaker that we booked and paid for that I wanted to share today.
Oh, okay. So that was the announcement, but we're not going to be doing that today.
I know, but there's just one little glitch in the contract that
cool.
needs to be changed, because if it's not a live conference, it's going to be an online voice. And he is someone that is relevant. He is someone that understands this younger generation realtor. He understands media, which is going to be great, with someone like yourself, speaking, because we'd love to have you back.
Absolutely.
He's someone that also is into human rights and fighting for social justice in Canada.
Oh, cool.
He's an amazing, amazing person. but I can't share it right now.
Okay. Well,
I
we'll
want to
circle
share
back,
it.
and you let me know when you can, and we'll help you get that word out for sure.
You have to keep it. You have to keep engaged at our Instagram page at the Buzz Conference.
Absolutely. Everybody's got to follow. So what last words or tips or anything that you want to share just before we sign off?
Oh, wow. A last word. How did I know you were going to ask me that? I never have a last word. I think we have to really understand who we are and who our customer is in order to move forward into the future of our industry. By knowing who we are, what we represent on different levels, whether it's business, corporate responsibility, community. If we know who our customers are, we need to create the plan to move forward with those three fundamentals, whether it's a big team, an independent brokerage, or if you want to, just stay and work as your own independent real estate agent. There's big opportunities for everything, but you have to know that one thing, and that is who is your customer, and take it from there.
Words of wisdom.
Mm.
Virginia, where can people find you?
At 905-334-1660. Please don't text me. Please don't email me. Just call me. Yeah.
There's the phone number, guys. Dial it. Okay, I got one more question. One more, last one.
Okay.
What made you smile today?
Opportunity. I look at this and there's a lot of things running through my mind, and that word opportunity can mean so many things to many people, but we have an opportunity right now to make a big difference in our industry. And as a woman, it's always been very difficult for me, especially a vocal woman, because I really share what I believe to be the truth. And if you don't believe in something, you need to make sure you communicate that and not share it with somebody else or text somebody or email somebody, because then it turns into drama and gossip. If there's someone you're unhappy with, if there's someone that you need to reconnect with, if there's an opportunity in everything, and opportunities make me smile. And this has been an opportunity, just sitting here and having a conversation with you. But we need to stop our drama infused industry. We need to bring it back to a place of professionalism and a place of growth, because the next 25 years is going to be wild.
Oh, I can't wait for what's in store.
Yeah.
Virginia, thank you. This has been insightful. It's been packed with wisdom. I'm grateful for the time and just very big thank you for joining me on the Mindshare podcast today.
My pleasure. It was fun being here. Thank you, David.
You're either listening to this on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or Spotify. Or maybe you downloaded our free Industry Syndicate podcast app. Or maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com. And while you're on my site, make sure to download your free copy of the 7 Ways to Communicate ebook to help you build more mindshare so that you can get more market share. And I want to invite you to join our private Mindshare Masters community. We meet twice a month live to share ideas, tips, tricks, and do some mind sharing. And all of our Mindshare Masters get access to our private VIP Q&A with our special guests each week. And you get daily marketing and sales tips delivered right to you. Plus the opportunity to motivate, learn, and network with a whole bunch of people just like you, going through the same struggles in business as you, looking to achieve like you. When you're on the site, just click on the coaching option, then group coaching, and for only $19 a month, literally like 62 cents a day, you will have access to a powerful coaching resource every single day. Seriously, just saying 62 cents sounds crazy to me too. So make sure you check it out. Wherever you like to consume your content, please rate, review, and subscribe. And if you haven't yet, connect with me on Facebook at Mindshare101 and on Instagram at David Greenspan 101. This has been another episode of the Mindshare Podcast. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.